Welcome all. This is a great honor to really be interviewing and talking to Veenu today. It just serves our mission at DirectShifts to bring to the world clinical providers and make sure the employers and the patients have better access to medical providers. So I am extremely honored today to bring to you our first story in the mental health and the behavioral health space, which, as you all know, has become very, very evident and very important. So without much further ado, I would like to present Veenu for you all today. Veenu, would you please start with just introducing yourself and telling us more about how did your journey actually start and into helping thousands and potentially millions of people?
Yes, thank you. It's an honor to be here. And especially right now with where the world is, how are we supporting each other as parents, as kids, and understanding what we're all feeling? And, my journey did start out with mental health. As a young child, I had some issues with suicidal tendencies. I was in a psychiatric care hospital for 2 months when I was little. I used to cut, and they wanted to diagnose me with all these, depression, anxiety, and it wasn't about the titles. It was, and I felt as a child that these titles kept me in a cage, and nobody was asking me the right questions to really help and see really what was going on, what was creating this depression. And it's not always a chemical imbalance. There's a lot of times that mental health is a chemical imbalance, and I don't want to take anything away from that. There's 5 axes that we actually look at, and we have to see, is it a personality? Is it more of a medical? Where is this stemming from? But for me on my journey, I realized that at such a young age that somehow, some way I wanted to help people. And I was on this journey to be a psychologist. And my life kind of detoured since, we all wear masks, and I was a director of a mental health institute where I live here in North Carolina. And I was still having these suicidal tendencies. Like, I still felt like life was over and I needed to just raise the 2 kids that I had. I had gone through a divorce. I had 2 young boys at the time who are now adults. And I ended up going to a personal growth seminar in 2007 in Atlanta, Georgia. And to be honest, that changed my life. It brought me to a time in my life that I realized that everything that we do in our life is an absolute choice. We have a choice to live, and we have a choice not to. We have a choice to make our life better, and we have a choice not to. It's how do we want to define what our world is? And so it was interesting because the more I related to this, the more I decided that I didn't want to die. I was no longer suicidal. I got off all my antidepressants. I got off my Xanax. I got off everything. I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking, because I think a lot of people do self-medicate through those things, because they want to find that balance. They want to know that they're normal. They're looking for normal. And I think that when I started to realize that everything I went through in my life was just a story, and the ending of the story hadn't been written yet, that's when I started to detour and take a different step in my life. As a matter of fact, going into these homes, working with these children with developmental disabilities and all these behaviors, I remember a family specifically right before Christmas, they found out that their daughter had Q22. And they were crying, they were sobbing, and I went to their house to work with their daughter, teaching her how to talk, teaching her, how to meet all her milestones at her age level. And we got faced with this, and I took the book out of their hand, and I said, this is the book that they gave you. This is how they defined it through their stories. What if we just put this book away and we wrote your daughter a new story? And I'm going to tell you that, I think she's like 14, 15 years old now. She's been mainstreamed. She's met all her developmental milestones. She's age appropriate. There's some things with her heart that obviously, no matter what you do, it's a medical condition that she needs work with. But other than that, all her behaviors we changed. We met all her developmental milestones because it was just changing the parent's mind, a mind shift of let's write our own story. And that's what we did.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So your personal experience and your personal journey has become your motivation. I mean, how many people there are that have the opportunity to turn their personal journey into becoming something greater, but you have done it, and that's a great example.